So the whole purpose of this video is basically what is that magical top secret growth hack that nobody in our space, nobody in the marketing world, the performance marketing, direct response world is talking about. And I got the idea for this video because I saw a post my friend Depeche posted the other day about like the fake friends where people say, hey, I'm cleaning out my friends list, I'm cleaning my group, and just the BS of that. So I started like really thinking about it, and it's amazing. I started then like being more conscious of my feed on Facebook and looking at how many people are posting value and how many people are just trying to get you to engage with crap to maybe sell you something. And it was an interesting thing happened after about probably a week of being more conscious about what's in my feed and the type of people, because obviously I'm more heavily weighted towards digital marketers, and I have a lot of friends who are entrepreneurs and performance marketers. That's like a big chunk of my 4,980 friends, however many people it's a big chunk of it is that. And so I've gotten more, it's kind of like the politics, right? The more you engage with it, the more you get pushed that way with Facebook's algorithm, and you start only seeing that stuff. And it's gotten to the point now where it's almost like every other post is it's a post asking who's got the best Facebook course. It's a post asking to comment money if you want to get my latest ebook for free. Comment, hacker if you want to get this. It's, hey, comment this or I'm going to remove you from my Facebook group. Comment this or like this or I will unfriend you. And I just started realizing how much like bullshit there is in our industry, and I've known this for a while, but it really hit home just how many people are doing it so wrong. Like a big chunk of performance marketers and entrepreneurs, especially younger ones and newer ones who are kind of just learning, this is what they're exposed to. They're exposed to this level of spammy, scammy, trying to game the system marketing. And they start to think that's what marketing is. That's what they should be doing. And it's creating this really terrible cycle. And luckily, there are a lot of people on the good side that are actively trying to deal with this. And there's some big news being launched on Wednesday, which I can't talk anything about. I promise I wouldn't say anything. But I'm really, really excited for Wednesday. So Wednesday, you're going to see a very, very big announcement from a massive player in our space that I'm fortunate enough to have a great relationship with. That's going to be backed by all the big platforms, all the serious players are going to be backing it. And it's going to be a really great kind of analysis, state of the industry. And so what I'm talking about right now is it's going to be a big conversation starting Wednesday and then through the next few months because of this spark. But I want to kind of get a head start on it because like it's amazing to me that here's the question I always get as a person who runs a lot of traffic and a person who also teaches how to run traffic and how to market and how to build brands and stuff. The number one question inevitably is, from a lot of new people is like, how do I, if I'm an info product, right? How do I get people to buy my course? How do I get people to buy my stuff? How do I make money? That's the angle of everybody usually getting started is how do I sell more of X? How do I make more of Y? It's all about getting some type of tangible reward and getting more of some asset, getting more money, getting more things. And that's the focus. But what's amazing is that the focus shouldn't be that. The focus should be, how can I make a bigger impact? How can I deliver more value and build more trust, right? Like that's what I think of is if you look at some of the most successful, let's go focus right now on kind of the influencer, info product, celebrity, whatever it might be, world where people are selling themselves essentially, right? They're the product. Their knowledge is the product. Their talent is the product. All the people that are most successful, making the most money, also happen to have they've given the most value and they've built the largest communities. They've built trust with lots of people. And something interesting happens when you deliver value over a period of time, and you focus on helping and giving over taking, something really interesting happens. You start to develop deep relationships with lots of people. People start to gravitate towards you because you're doing something different. You're giving and helping versus asking and taking. And the more people you can do that for, the more they're going to tell people about every time those questions pop in the groups. Who's the best Facebook ad person? Who's the best, coder? Who's the best singer? Who's the best whatever? The people that have the deepest relationships with fans and followers and students, those individuals have the loudest voices and are most likely to go above and beyond to spread that message and talk about that individual. And so when I was thinking about this, like, everybody wants the instant. They want if I just do this ad, or I just put this audience in place, or this retargeting sequence in place, or I just use this app and this software and this tool, or I pay this person to do Y, this guru, I'm going to be successful, right? And like, it's fascinating to me because you can go into a room with the most successful people in the world, and you can ask them, like, what's the secret to success, right? What's your secret? And so many of those individuals are going to say, well, I gave and I helped and I focused on providing value, giving and helping as many people as possible. And that built trust, credibility, authority, built relationships. And there's then here's the way I look at it. We never like to, as human beings, maybe not everybody, but a good amount of human beings, not the terrible ones, but the good people, we don't feel right when we're in a one-sided relationship, right? And what I mean by that is, like, how do you feel if your best friend or your significant other or your parents or whoever, like, they've done a bunch of favors for you, right? They've covered your ass a few times, they sent you a gift, they did all these things for you, and you really haven't done anything lately. You start to feel this sense of obligation that it's one-sided. I'm getting too much. I need to give. And you can create the same dynamic at scale by giving. Now, what I'm not saying is that everybody's going to instantly feel like, hey, this guy or this woman has given me a lot of knowledge. I need to give him money, right? I'm not saying it's going to happen for everybody. But subconsciously it does start to build the foundation of that thought process where it's, hey, I've seen videos from this person for weeks, and they even sold me crap, and I implemented this one thing and helped me make a lot of money. And now I see an ad for this person 3 months on the road, 4 months on the road for a course, for a training, for whatever it might be. The likelihood of that person engaging, converting is much, much higher than if the first interaction that person has with you is to buy my thing, to buy my stuff. And the challenge, I think, with marketers is that a lot of us know how to do it, right? If you are a student of history and you look at all the successful entrepreneurs, if you even narrow down, look at, what did Russell Brunson do? What did Ryan Dice do? What did Ezra Firestone do? You can go through the list of just really successful, high quality, honorable, good people in industry. What did they do? What was their path? And they all almost did the same thing, right? Now, I don't know all of their histories, and I know all three of them, but some I know better than others. I don't know everything they did for the last 5, 10, 15 years. But what I do know is that all of those individuals are givers. They want to give more than they get. And because of that, you gravitate towards those individuals, right? I want to be around other people who care about me and want to give and want to help than they want to take from me, right? Nobody wants to spend time around that friend that's always asking for $5, right? Like, nobody wants to be, you have that group of friends, right? And there's that one friend in your group that always is like, you go to dinner, right? And you split up dinner and they're like, well, I didn't eat the breadsticks, right? You guys got 10 breadsticks and they were $10, but you split up by 5. I didn't really get any, so I shouldn't pay $2. Like, everyone has that friend, right? That is just like a pain in the ass. They're always taking, they're always asking, they're never just giving, right? And then you always have the friend that's like, hey, listen, dinner's on me. And they put their card down and it maybe costs them $80, $100, whatever it might be. But it's more of a act that builds goodwill, right? And so I look at what we do as marketers and I try to think the same way, right? Like, how can I build the best possible relationship with as many people as possible? How can I build that relationship where people who don't even know me personally think that I am, not even just think, they know that I care about them, that I care about their success. Whether I've met them in person, whether it's been through one video, whether I've known them for 5 years, whether they've been a client of mine, whether they've never given me $1. That they have that sense that this person really does care. They care about other success, and they're not doing this to just make a few bucks off of me. And so for me, it's like the growth hack, the top secret strategy that nobody wants to talk about, but that works almost every time, is delivering value, delivering more value, focusing on relationship building, being yourself, being authentic, caring about other people. And then you can sell things, right? But if your initial out of the gate move is, I'm going to sell stuff to people, and the only reason I'm doing this is to sell things. That's the other thing. I think people can sense that, right? So everybody tries, they know that that's what you're supposed to do, right? They know, well, hey, everyone says you got to give value and put out content and build an email list and nurture. Everyone knows that, right? The difference, though, is that few people actually do it right. In terms of putting all the effort in all the time and giving it enough time. And then the ones that even do give it a shot and do it, they're doing it because they know it's what they got to do to make money. And that seeps through in the videos they shoot, right? Like, I've seen videos of people, lots of content for people, where I know the only reason they're doing this is that they had to do something to get my email, to get me pixeled. And, they're going to be selling me a ton of crap now. They're going to, churn and burn their list now that I'm on there. And that was all they cared about. Like, once they get my $1, they no longer care, right? They move on. They have their own teachers that teach for them. They don't use the teaching anymore. And they're on to the next group of people to get in there. And so that's another huge part of it, right? Is it's not just enough to put out content and to give value and to build relationships, but you need to be authentic about it, right? You need to actually be passionate about the content you're putting out there, and actually believe that you're doing this for the right reason and not just to make money down the road. And that's why I think I found that the most successful kind of info product entrepreneurs that are selling content and courses and masterminds and training and stuff usually have income streams from other sources. And because of that, they don't need this to make money tomorrow. And they can genuinely care about impact and focus on the big picture without needing the financial windfall from it to pay for everything else. And so they can truly give 110% without needing anything in return. And that's pretty interesting to me, is like the people that are most successful usually do the best job when it comes to the info product stuff because of that lack of need financially. And they can be more authentic and transparent and care less about the instant dollar ROI that they're going to get day one in, week one in, month one in from the content they're putting out there. And again, this is just me. Like, I could be totally off in terms of, everyone else could disagree with this and think, hey, that's a stupid way to go about it. And I'm open to hearing other people's feedback and thoughts on this radical growth hack of actually providing value and focusing on building authentic, genuine relationships, whether it's with one person, you're selling high ticket items, or whether it's with 100,000 people. It is totally possible to be done in either avenue, whether it's a one-to-one or one-to-many. And for me, I just think it's worked on me as a consumer, as somebody that has followed individuals for a long time and then spent money with them consistently, and I'll buy anything they put out because they built that relationship with me. And it's been something that's worked on the other side, which is by giving and giving and giving, you reap massive rewards. And I'll share a story with everybody. and I have about 25 minutes before I got to do a training, and I'm open to questions that anybody may have right now. So here's going back to where I think like giving is so important, and focusing on providing value and impact over immediate financial reward, right? So about 2.5 years ago, I got invited to an event in San Francisco, and at that event, we had just kind of scaled our Trump campaign, so we had a lot of success there. And I got asked to speak. Everyone there spoke. And so I spoke and I shared what we were doing with our Trump funnel. I shared exactly the ads we were running, everything we were doing. Now, a lot of people, a lot of marketers I know don't share anything. They don't like sharing because they want to keep the secrets to themselves so they can make all the money. They have a scarce mindset versus an abundant mindset. And so it would have been easy for me to just like share some fluff, like go real broad and real basic, and here's the basics of Facebook ads, and here's what you need to do. But I whiteboarded out the entire thing, right? Every sequence, every retargeting, all this stuff. I put it up on a whiteboard, and I think the video is still online somewhere on my Facebook page if you want to go find it. But I basically 40 minutes of just value. And that video then led to my buddy Adam from Shopify seeing it, who has invited me to multiple Shopify masterminds over the years. And then he shared it with his friend Ezra Firestone. And Ezra is somebody that at the time I'd bought all of his courses. He had done exactly what I'm talking about now and done it really well. And I'd bought every course, every training, and I would have loved to just meet him, right? I was like, it would be so cool to meet Ezra in person. And he said, well, he wants to talk to you. He wants to hop on a phone call. And the reason this is fresh for me too, I just wrote Ezra a really long message the other day, thanking him. I hadn't really taken the time to thank him for, and I don't think he still kind of plays it. He plays it off like it's not a big deal, but he really did have a huge part in me being where I'm at today, and I'm forever grateful for that. And but anyway, he hopped on the phone and said, hey, every year my Ecom All Stars event, I like to have 1 or 2 people that nobody really knows about share some stuff. Would you like to come? Now, there's plenty of people out there that probably would have said, well, hey, is it a paid gig? Are you going to pay me? Are you going to fly me out there? You're going to pay for my hotel, pay for my room. Hey, I'm going to share some basic stuff. Again, I don't want to share all my secrets, all my good stuff. I'm not going to do that, right? So I said yes. I didn't even ask a question. I said, I'll be there. Whatever you need, I'll be there. I took advantage of the opportunity because I knew it was another way for me to share with a lot of people, right? Provide value to as many people as possible, and to begin to show people that I can help, that I'm not just a behind the scenes person. I can actually, the stuff I'm saying can help you grow your business. And the only way that can happen is you need to do it, right? You can't get people to pay you for your advice until you've actually helped lots of people achieve success. It doesn't work that way, right? You can't just throw up ads with some fake screenshots and people start paying $9.97 for a course, or $3,000 an hour for consulting. Doesn't happen, right? You need to build momentum. You need to build success stories. You need to have that base of people that you helped, that are now becoming your advocates, and they're spreading the word, right? So I went to Ezra's event and I spoke. And again, I didn't hold anything back. I shared everything we were doing. And this is the way I've approached every event I've spoken at. It's easy to hold things back, but I want to give. I want people to walk away from the event and be able to implement stuff and get results from it, right? So did that. It went incredibly well. It was like 500 people. And it took me about 2-3 hours to get from the stage to the hotel room because so many people wanted to speak. And that's when it started to click for me that like, this is it, right? You take as many opportunities as you can get to share in as many venues as possible, and you just give. And you give 110%, and you don't hold back, and you don't keep things for yourself, and you give, and this is what happens. And that was a glimpse of it, right? It was obviously, a few hundred people, which isn't massive, but for me at the time, it was massive for me, right? And that event then gave me momentum to get to the next event, Here was a private Shopify mastermind. Here was Chris Records mastermind. Here was, doing the ClickFunnels podcast and the Billie Jean's show and all this stuff. Then getting to, speak in Barcelona. So again, the same thing. Chad Willen, my buddy who kind of puts together Affiliate World, Chad and Eric Dick, we had spoken at the time, and there was the need for a last minute speaker in Barcelona, and we spoke maybe 4 or 5 times, and I said this probably a year ago, said yeah, I'll do it, right? And again, they couldn't pay for me to speak. They didn't have the budget anymore to pay for the flights or anything like that, right? So again, this would have been easy for most people to say, hey, I'm not going to pay to go share with 3,000 people. That's a stupid amount of money. Why would I pay for, they should be paying me to go out there and share my stuff, right? But I knew it was an opportunity. It was the biggest stage I would ever speak on so far. And I knew it would lead to the next thing. And I knew, more importantly, it gave me the opportunity to speak to not just 3,000 people, but 3,000 people from around the world in a different country and across multiple industries. And so the same thing happened. I, said yes, got out there, and it was a few $1,000s, just flights, hotels, everything like that. Spoke. It went incredibly well, and that opened up the next event, and the next event, and the next event. And so for me, like looking back on what I've done the last 3 years, and every student I talk to, every success story, whatever it might be, partner, whoever it is, like the one reoccurring thing I can say that I've done right, and I've done a lot of things wrong. I've done way more things wrong than I've done right. Let me get that. Let me set that straight first, right? And this is not a toot your horn thing. Like I've made so many mistakes, and I've fucked up a lot. But the thing I have done right is to always give more than you ask. I think that is the simplest thing. I think really that is the simplest at its like the DNA of success in at least what we do in the info product space is if you look at the balance, right? And you have the seesaw of giving and asking or giving and taking. I think if it's always weighted this way, if you're always giving more than you're asking and taking, you will be successful, right? And it's not going to be something where you're going to be successful tomorrow or next month or even next year. It might take 2, 3, 5 years, right? But there's no way it doesn't happen as long as what you're giving is valuable, right? Now, anybody can go out there and just talk about things. I could be, I could start doing Twitter ad talks and I don't know what the hell I'm talking about Twitter ads. That's not going to work for that, right? But if it's something you're passionate about and you love doing and you're good at it and you do it yourself, and that's what you're giving, that is a 100% surefire formula for success in the long run, right? And I think about it, how many times I've hopped on phone calls with students or with an 18-year-old kid in college that once has questions, and there are a lot of people who would say, hey, well, it's $1,000 an hour. Listen, kid, maybe we can talk next year. Right, that is the usual response, and the unfortunate thing is that that overall mindset and that thought, kind of an industry that's a prevailing thought, has made it so a lot of the younger kids, the younger generation, feel intimidated and unable to ask for help, and that's unfortunate. I speak to a lot of 18-year-olds, 19-year-olds, 20, 22 kids that are in college, just out of college, who are just getting started, really bright, really ambitious, and they're like, well, I would have asked you this question earlier, or I would have, asked for a phone call, or whatever, but, so many people turn me down that, I felt like I would be embarrassed because you would just say no right out of the gate, or you'd ask me for a lot of money. And so there's this whole generation of new marketers who feel unable to reach out to people who they look up to or who they think are doing a great job to ask for advice or mentorship or help. And instead, they're getting all of their knowledge from their Facebook feed and from YouTube. And not that either that's bad, but it's littered with crap. It's littered with scammy tactics. It's littered with get-rich-quick ideas and thought processes. And that's where they're getting the most of their knowledge from. They're lacking mentorship and guidance because they're not going after those people because they feel like nobody's going to, help me. And so I've spent, a lot of time over the last few years on phone calls and meeting with people, not charging, because I care. I love what I do. I love getting to help people. I love getting to teach and coach and train and audit ads and learn more people's businesses and be a small part of their success. Like that gives me purpose from the business standpoint, right? And yeah, sure, I probably, I probably could have made more money the last 2 years if I had charged every interaction I had. I probably could have made a lot more money if any phone call I hopped on, any conversation I had, any Zoom call I charged them for. I've had a lot of people that have said, hey, what do you charge to do this? Friends, right? And I'm like, well, listen, let's just hop on a call. I'm not going to charge you. You're a friend, right? And I think because of that, that has allowed me to build a reputation and a small reputation, right? Where in the grand scheme of things, I'm a very, very tiny little figure, but a reputation that I'm proud of, which is that he does things ethically. He cares about people, and I hate talking about the third person. This is really weird, but the only way I can talk about it, and that he loves to give value, and that makes my job when it comes to actually selling stuff a lot easier. When that's the perception people have in the market, is that it makes it exponentially easier to sell stuff. And so I'll get off me too and give a better example. So Pat Flint. Pat has been a partner of ours for probably 3 years now. And I've been so lucky to get to know Pat personally, professionally, and run his traffic, help him with his marketing, all this great stuff. What I can tell you though is being an advertiser, like a marketer for somebody like Pat, is a dream. It's the easiest job in the world. Now, Pat, if you're watching this, that's not saying we should, you don't need us, but it makes our jobs a lot easier because he has spent like a decade being just a great guy who gives a lot of value, right? Like good person, delivers value, gives more than he asks. There's that swing, right? Always putting out content, putting out way more content than he ever sells stuff. And so when he does sell things, when he does drive traffic to a webinar or to an event or whatever it might be, he has a line of people that are ready to invest. They're like, well, yeah, Pat's been giving me free information on affiliate marketing for 5 years. Now he's got an affiliate marketing course. Of course I'm going to invest in it, right? It's a no-brainer. So you can look at examples like that of people that are just crushing it, and you look at what they did for the years leading up to where they are now. And they all gave value. They all built audiences around their who they are as people and the value they gave, not because they just ran traffic to a group to get those followers, right? Those followers were earned. And that is a really, really valuable commodity asset. And it just makes it frustrates me, and it makes me so upset to continue to see these posts in my feed on Facebook. And I know that, a lot of people who are doing it are doing it because they think that's what you need to do, and they've seen it, they've learned it, and they're not inherently bad people or inherently spammers or anything like that. However, that's what they're doing, right? Is anytime you ask somebody to comment on your post before you send them something, anytime, and this might sound like trivial to people, they don't even think of it this way, but anytime you ask for somebody to do something before you give them something, that's what you're doing, right? Whether it's $1, whether it's an opt-in, whether it's a comment, whatever it might be, you are asking them to do something for you first before you give them something. And it is hard to build a relationship that's lopsided in your favor, where you're giving, when that's the first interaction you have with people, or the majority of the interactions you have with people is that. Or it's the same thing about just who you are as a person, right? The credibility of who you are. If, like, I'm not going to name any names, but I know for a fact, I've seen multiple people that are relatively well-known figures that have big Facebook groups, or that hit the 5,000 friend limit, and they've done posts on Facebook multiple times where they say they're doing a big group cleanse, or they're doing a friends cleanse. And if you got to comment on this post to not get, cleansed. And I know for a fact they've never cleansed. They've never actually removed anybody. They've never done the purge. They just do it for the engagement bait, right? They do it so they can top a feed, so they can game the algorithm, and that's why they're doing it. And to me, like, I would never invest in them. I would never recommend them. I never buy anything they sell. And if people ask me what I think of them, I'm going to be very honest. And I do get asked very frequently from really great people in industry, hey, do you know this person? What do you think about them? I'm thinking about hiring them. I'm thinking about partnering with them. And I tell people the honest truth, right? And I can imagine if I get that many requests, how many requests other people are getting. And so you need to think bigger picture, right? It's not just about like your top down, like the people down here that are following you. It's also about how you're perceived by your peers and people above you, right? So think about the actions you take in your public persona, the actions you take in terms of how you're selling things, how you're marketing yourself, how you're posting on social. Think about the people that are following you, or the people that you don't even know are following you might see you, right? Like a lot of the big players out there, they might stealthily be following you, right? There's a lot of heavy hitters out there who I never would have thought in a million years were looking at my stuff and have privately reached out to me and said really nice things. And that has made me really, like, now I'm very conscious of everything I do, because think about if you're doing spammy things all the time on Facebook and some really heavy hitter that maybe runs a massive event that gets big speakers, or that runs the biggest company in your space and that might hire you as an agency or whatever it may be, is seeing your stuff, and you go to reach out to them, or somebody introduces you and they're like, yeah, I saw that guy. He's the one that litters my feed with engagement bait all the time. Or he's the one that's always selling crap, right? Doing lives, pitching things. So I think it's basically, to recap, because I only have a few more minutes, and I'm more than happy to answer questions if people have it, is there is a sprint focus and there's a marathon focus. I think those are the two breakdowns. There's people that are looking at building their business as a sprint, and there's people that are looking at building their business as a marathon. And it might be tempting to do the sprint because you can get instant result, you get instant gratification, you might make more money in the short run, but you will blow yourself out. You will burn yourself out really quickly, and then you're at a standstill. Then you're resting, right? Once you sprint and give it all early on, you're then going to spend a minute, which could translate to weeks, months, maybe a year, just recuperating, trying to rest back up so you can keep moving. While the person that's done it the right way is slow and steady, and they're continuing to grow and grow and grow and grow, and they pass you, and they're off, right? And so I guess the task that I ask everybody is to like look at the brands and people that you respect as a consumer, whether it's through content or products, and look at how they talk. What have they done? How do they speak? How do they talk about their products? How do they talk on social? What is the breakdown of their posts publicly? Is it, all sales? Probably not. Is it value and value and value? Every now and then they have a, really special, unique offer. That's the type of research and due diligence that every marketer and entrepreneur should do before jumping into just sales mode. Because it is, it's very hard once you've made that decision to go one direction, be the sprinter, to then pivot and be the marathon runner. Because again, once you ruin a reputation, you cannot buy a reputation. You can't, right? Once you get labeled as the scammy, spammy person, the black hat marketer, the person that defrauds people, the person that just sells crap and litters my feed, like, it's very hard to change somebody's mind of you. And so your reputation is by far the most valuable asset you have, right? You can redo just about anything. You can go bankrupt and start again, right? There's so many things you can do if you fail. But if you ruin your reputation, can't really do much after that, right? That is something that will put you out of the game for quite some time. And then you're back to square one. So again, yeah, I just wanted to shoot this video again because it's been bothering me just seeing this flood of posts in my feed. And it's gotten to the point where I don't even like checking Facebook anymore because it's, and I have to because I have questions people ask and stuff. So it's frustrating because I have to go on there to answer the questions. But I just see this constant flood of, comment, purge, all the same things all the time. I found this new secret strategy that's going to triple your ROAS. Here's a screenshot of how much money I made and all this stuff. And and it just does not look good. So if you're doing those things or thinking about doing those things, I would hope you reevaluate that after this video. Just take a step back and think about how you would react to it if you saw it in your feed all the time, right? As a consumer, all of us are consumers just as much as we are creators and producers. So think about that. Think about the big picture of your reputation and your brand. And then look at the people that are doing it right? Look at the people who are giving and giving and giving and very rarely ever selling things to you. And there's a lot of them on Facebook. There's a lot of people out there who are doing it the right way. Somebody that I think is absolutely doing a great job right now, Scott Olford, is, again, this goes back to being successful. When you're successful and don't need money, you can take a long-term approach. And he's another guy who's like, every time I see a post from him, it's value. I never see him selling crap. And the only other time, a few times I see him like pitching anything, it's insane value. And it's not like selling, it's just like, here's this like 85-page ebook, just go to this page, right? So there's people like Scott, there's people like Tim Burr, there's people that I truly respect, and they've all achieved massive success, and they have massive audiences because they've given for so long. And they're playing the long game, and they're building that brand equity. They're making sure that the scales are weighted in giving over taking. So again, if you look at those people, the Ezra Firestones, the Scott Olfords, the Tim Birds, you can kind of go down the list, and they're all doing it right, and they're all successful, and it's not a coincidence that they're successful. So again, if you guys have any questions about any of this, I'm more than happy to answer that. If you ever have any, if you ever want to just talk, you're struggling with something, you have ideas, like I said, this is me being a terrible salesperson, but I'm more than happy to always help anybody. So you want to hop on a call for 10 minutes, you want to shoot me a Facebook message, whatever it might be, I try my best to answer everybody, and as detailed as possible, not just like a short crappy answer. So more than happy to answer that. Just shoot me a message, and I can answer whatever I can. Hopefully it's resonated with some people. If it did, let me know that it's something that resonated with you in the comments. I'd love to know that. And I'm not doing that for engagement baiting things. I'm doing that purely because I genuinely want to know who agrees with this and who disagrees with it. I find that fascinating. And also, here one last thing I'll ask. Name like 2 or 3 people that you think have mastered that kind of value to the ask to take formula, right? Or give to ask formula. They give way more than they ask. Who are those people that you follow right now that are just giving and giving and giving way more than they're ever asking? I'd love to know, because I'm always looking for new people to follow, to learn from, to reach out to. So I would love to hear that from everybody. So just comment below with 2 or 3 people that you can tag them, so they can see that they're making an impact, and that matters a lot too. Yeah, awesome. Everyone has a great day, great week, and I'm sure we'll talk soon. Thanks, everybody.